beautiful people? My name is Dirty Mike, and today, my friends, we've got another 40 and 40 on display. We're going to be discussing the team, the tactics, the results, and regional qualifiers. And I realize I'm a little bit behind, and that's because the Super Bowl was in Houston. That's where I'm living. That's where I'm from. Had subscribers in town. I was meeting up with different people that are normally not in Houston. Had a few meetings. I don't want to get into a bunch of excuses. It's still coming out, and if you want to see the 40 and 40 from the previous weekend, and I had a great weekend. I'm talking an outstanding weekend. I'm talking about my best weekend. Drop a thumbs up on this video. That tells me bring that out ASAP. I'm thinking Thursday or Friday, so you get a double scoop during the week. And in the comments, and I want you to be very honest with yourself. It's going to have to be that way. We can all analyze our gameplay at this point in FIFA. So in the comments, I want you to tell me your pros and your cons. What do you do well? What do you need to work on? And I'm going to talk about my own gameplay development in this video in terms of what I've noticed is good, what I've noticed is bad, and when I'm playing well, what's all clicking, and when things aren't necessarily working out for me, where are the mistakes that are being made. It's great that we can do this now with the PS4, with the Xbox, with Twitch, or even if you're using an Elgato or an AverMedia, something along those lines. We have game capture capability. But without too much further ado, let's get this underway. Real quick, if you do need cheap codes or cheap games, make sure to head on over to g2a.com. Use Dirty at checkout. Get that cash back bonus. I'll leave the links down below in the description. And we're here. I got Light 1 over there. Light 2 coming in strong. And I want to start out talking about the squad. And if you're brand new to the series, we're going to go over all 40 of my matches. And I'm going to discuss, of course, the pro swap. If you guys realize I had Lothar Mateos, and I'm gonna give him a different nickname. I think we're gonna call him Mad Dog. Some of the Twitch subs, they use him a nickname for that guy. So Mad Dog is brought into the squad. He's brand spanking new for me, about 1.5 million coins, not on some discount shopping. He's gonna play as a center mid. I showed both formations at the beginning of the video. He's gonna play as a center mid, not that striker position. So before you get in here commenting about you have Lothar Mad Dog as a striker, no, I don't. And I would not recommend using him as a striker. And I like to measure the statistics of goals, assists, rage quits, and corner kicks. If there's anything else that I should add into the mix, hey, we've got the comments. But the reason that we do goals, hey, how many scoring? I also do how many goals I concede. And then we do rage quits because I think it deals with skill rating. And I always express to the subscribers and the viewers and everyone that, man, people quit out against me a lot, bro. And people sometimes were like, well, how many? What are we looking at? What's the average? And that's where the rage quit statistic kind of came from. And then I also keep corner kicks because I just find it to be an interesting number. Like, how many goals do you really score from set pieces? Maybe I should change it to set pieces versus corners. Let me know. You guys are always the deciding factor. And with this team in this weekend, I beat a lot of the hoe bags, the scum, the guys you don't want to match up against. I'm talking about the guys that start holding the ball from the very beginning of the match, to park the bus, the 5 at the back. But I had a few games where when I watch it back, it pains me to see some of the defensive errors. And you're going to notice it as well. You're going to see a couple games that are much more high scoring than what is usually on display. And I'm going to analyze my own gameplay as I brought up at the very beginning of the video, but we're going to hold that for just a minute. So my back line, and I would recommend not changing anything with your backline in terms of bringing in legends or very expensive players if you haven't already made those changes up top or in the midfield. I just find that having the expensive attackers is a bigger advantage than having the expensive defenders. Kyle Walker, I don't know if he's going to really change throughout this entire year. Who do I bring in for Kyle Walker? You've got Bellerin, but he's better than Bellerin. You got Klein, well, he's better than Klein. You've got Perez, he's better than Perez. And even in terms of some of the legends, Zanetti, I packed Zanetti. I used him for 15, 20 games, and I couldn't justify the coin increase. It just didn't make sense to me. And you have to take value into consideration. And I like to keep my teams lower rated if possible. That's why you always see that 83 overall. That's not a coincidence. That's like my threshold number. 83 is good. 84, starts getting debatable. Center backs, of course, Smalling, Boateng, very consistent. Put an anchor on them. You know, enjoy that partnership. And the more games you play with certain players, you just feel more confident, more comfortable. Like the world is yours. I think Nas or Biggie said something about the world being theirs. And then Alaba's a left back. Great for me. I understand people's argument with him being out of position. I get it. Some people say he gets forward a little too often, a little too much. But for me, he's good. And that's where I talked about comfort and understanding your play style and what works for you. Do you use your fullbacks going forward, or do you need them to just sit back? I do believe Sandro might be a better option if you can somehow get him into the squad without sacrificing other pieces of your squad. Congrats, bring him in. And I actually feel that Brema is probably the best left back in the game. I need to play a couple more 40 and 40s with Brema, but I've been fortunate enough to use him quite a bit. And if you guys don't like Sandro, you don't like Alaba, and you're on the Xbox, try Brema. I think he's better than Roberto Carlos, unless you're one of those guys that likes that super attacking fullback, that Dani Alves, that Roberto Carlos feel. Even Marcelo at times can get too far forward. Even that blue card is, ooh, it's spicy, it's icy, and it's pricey, but it's a great card. You look at those stats and you know good things are going to happen. And with the regional, I kind of want to discuss that. I'm going to open that up for a lot of back and forth, some dialogue with all of you guys that are subscribed. What did you think of the regional in Paris, France? Did you think it was a good look? I thought the production value was great. Were you surprised? I think we all were surprised by the group of death, but I'm going to hold that for a minute. Let me finish the squad, and then we'll talk about analyzing your own gameplay, and of course my gameplay. And then also I want to talk a lot about the regional, because this is new. I've been around competitive FIFA since almost the original, the when competitive FIFA started. And I think I'm one of the very few people that can say that they've been around since the beginning of FIFA esports. And I've never seen FIFA getting the exposure that they're now getting with ESPN and the tournaments and the support from EA and content creators. Just in general, you can see it too with the growth of the most the most proficient players, the best players now. Their social medias are sky is the limit. And I'm happy to see that happening. I believe that it should be this way, where you have the best players, the best entertainers, and then some of the people in between giving you a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But it's good for the community overall. I wish that I was just starting playing in tournaments now. That would be incredible if this continues year in and year out. It'll give you a longer, I guess, career, or a longer time period to be amazing, or to put up the results that you're looking to string together. Hopefully that makes sense when it comes across in the video. I've of course got Neuer in goal, but there's all preference with goalkeepers. I still want to try either Lehmann or maybe a Van der Sar in goal. Haven't used one of them in a 40 and 40. I think De Gea might be your best bet if you're looking for goalkeepers that are normal, ordinary goalkeepers. However, for me, Neuer's been great for most of the time. He's not perfect. He's not the greatest that you could ever ask for. He's not going to be GOAT status. This isn't Tom Brady we're talking about. But I do think he gives me good results. And I've expressed this in previous videos, and I want to mention it again. I believe that certain goalkeepers just save certain shots at higher levels of frequency. So if you only give up long shots, maybe this goalkeeper will be better for you than this one. If you only give up breakaways, breakaways you might have problems regardless. But I think some goalkeepers jump off the line a little bit better. So I would recommend De Gea. But if you want to experiment with Neuer, he's been good for me, and he's been good for others. But I've also heard and I've witnessed firsthand horror stories and terrible results with Neuer. I guess that goes for any goalkeeper, so don't think of it as a Neuer exclusive, but I just wanted to throw that out there, every disclaimer. And then in the midfield, I got Vieira, I got Pogba, and I got Mad Dog over here. And see, the problem with Lothar is that he's just not big enough. Not in the world of power midfielders that just dominate the pitch in terms of their physicality. And he has that, but he just is not big. I'd rather him have the presence. So I think the weekend following, well, I don't think, I know. The weekend following this 40 and 40, I will be using Hullet as a center mid, even though he was excellent for me as a cam. And because of that investment of coins, I just wanted him in the attack. But with that being said, I think there are better cams and maybe get a little more creativity, more of a true potent cam. Not to knock Hullet. I think Hullet's one of those players where he might be the best player on the pitch wherever you play him. But I think he's better suited to be the center mid. No surprises there. Even though he did show up and he did show out. And I don't have negatives to really talk about with Hullet. I guess what you could ask for is maybe a little more agile. When you look at the statistics or the numbers of that Team of the Year Suarez, Team of the Year Messi, or regular Messi as a cam, George Best, Del Piero, these very agile players. then you kind of think to yourself, wow, this guy might make a difference. And especially if the gameplay is on point. We're not dealing with server issues. We're not dealing with disconnects. Everything is looking good to go. Then you should include some of these small number 10-isk type players. I caught myself. I was about to sneeze. Popped the camera off. We're back into action. I'm gonna wiping it down one time. We're going to talk about analyzing gameplay. I want to move into the next segment. You guys kind of know how Ronaldo and Gareth Bale get down if you play them up top. Ronaldo, best attacker in the game. I don't care what you say. For me, best attacker in the game. In terms of what he gives you in big matches, what he gives you in regular matches, just his presence on the pitch, and he's complete. He just doesn't lack in any facet. Do you need an agile player? Oh, he does that. Do you need someone who's power? Oh, he does that. Can he run? Oh, yeah, he does that. What about shots from outside the box, inside the box, both feet? Oh, yeah, he does that. If you had a checklist of what Ronaldo can do, it'd be check, 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 check. There's nothing that he really struggles. Let me know. Is there something I'm missing? There's not an area that he struggles in terms of going forward and attacking and scoring goals and just being annoying, being a nuisance. Every time I go into a match and I'm playing against an opponent that has Ronaldo, I have to be very weary of that Ronaldo. I have to know, where is he on the pitch? What am I possibly leaving open? Can I step in front of this? Do I not need to lay off? I'm always aware, because I know Ronaldo has the capability to go off, to score 2 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals, and he can do it quickly. And he can do it with creativity, or he can do it with simplicity. And both, it's dangerous, man. And then Gareth Bale, I started using him up top recently. I think he gives you a little more power. He's not as agile as Griezmann. We've talked about it. A little bit better long shot for me. Not as good as a finisher. I will not be mad if you choose Griezmann over Gareth Bale. They are different types of players, and I don't think one's necessarily better than the other. They're just different. Their feel is different. The size, the agility, the movement, they just don't feel similar. They're both left-footed. That's what they share. So you guys could let me know. Maybe I should do a poll. I wonder who people kind of prefer, like really prefer. I hate when I run a poll on players and I know a lot of the people on the poll haven't used both players, because that's obviously a biased opinion. Now, if Griezmann had a Team of the Year card, wow, I think we'd be talking about something incredible. But yeah, analyzing gameplay, because I want to talk about what I do well and what I don't do well and what I've noticed. And the first thing I want to discuss is in FUT Champs matches, try to stay away from rage quitting. Unless you're crucial, or at least I guess you're stressed on time, then you don't need to rage quit. And the reason I'm saying try to stay away from it is because it's a learning lesson. What is this person doing? You can watch back your gameplay. This is one of these features we have now. You're able to actually sit back and say, okay, I'm having a big problem in the midfield, or I'm really struggling defending against someone who's doing skill moves, or my attack is stale, it's stagnant, it's boring. Just my advice. It starts though with I like to not quit out of matches, whether I'm winning big, losing big, whatever it might be. I'm not losing big in many games, but I've always found, and I've kept true to this since 2006. If I'm getting spanked, I want to know why. And that reference is not towards your mom or your girl or something like that. I'm saying, if you are taking an L, why are you taking that L? What can you learn from this? Whether it's your mistakes defensively or his brilliance offensively, there's something to be had. There's something you can work with. And I just want to throw that out there, that every loss is a learning experience. I know it sounds cliche. I got it. I understand, guys. But really, it does mean something. Now back to analyzing the gameplay. So my pros, and this is when I'm playing well. If you're not playing well, it's a little bit different. My pros when I'm playing well, my defense and how I'm reading the game, my anticipation, not necessarily even my pressure, just being able to take away what you want to do and registering that very quickly. And when I'm talking about registering quickly, 5 minutes into a game, 10 minutes into a game, I've already figured out, oh, this guy wants to do this. This is kind of passes or skills that he's most likely going to do. This is what he's capable of. And also reading situations and scenarios instinctively is something that I would say I do well. Let me give you an example. My opponent passes to the wing. I already saw him do one Berber spin earlier. I'm anticipating another Berber spin. And I also know who's his wing player immediately. Can he do a 4-star skill? Can he only do a 3-star skill? Does he have 5-star skills? What's his weak foot? I know foot head cards like the back of my hand. And that's a big advantage. People are always surprised, and you find it in the live stream where they ask you questions about this guy's agility, this guy's long shooting, his weak foot. I'm all about playing the percentages, and I feel that I understand or I've grasped how to play those percentages and doing it quickly, and that's a major advantage. And any professional player, a competitive player, or someone who's really good at this game, they know. And that's why they might be able to have that defense that bends but doesn't break. I'll give you an example. So I've got Gareth Bale. He's in a good shooting position, but I force him to his right foot, or I force Griezmann to his right foot. Even though I've made the mistakes that got him there, I'm not going to allow him to get on his left. So you're going to have to shoot across the body, or you're going to have to shoot with his weak foot, whatever you're going to try to put together. And the odds are in my favor at that point in terms of being able to get a stop or just get a miss, or the player's going to lose accuracy. So that's one of my pros. Offensively, I do a good job looking for the last pass, whether it's a pass across, whether it's tiki-taka, just finding the last pass that needs to be made in order to get yourself an automatic goal. So I do a good job basically not shooting too early, not rushing, having that type of composure. And then also with possession. I don't have a lot of issues in the midfield. I typically have anywhere between 55 to 65% possession, and it's done in the midfield, not done in the defense. I'm not holding the ball against people. But this also allows me to control matches. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you see me win a lot of close games 1-0. This might not be the best video for that. I'm just thinking back on some of these results. But I can win a lot of games 1-0. It's not my most comfortable W. It's not how I would prefer to win. But a W is a W. And one of the reasons is because of my offense being able to control and dictate the tempo. And good offense or great offense is the best defense. And another cliche, you've probably heard that before, but it's true. I only like to talk about things that are true. They're factual. Can you improve your game doing this, this, and this? The answer is yes, of course. So remember, good offense and making smart decisions, guys. Like, I've talked to a few people recently, and we were discussing how important it is to understand where you're at in the match. For example, I'm up 2-1 in a game. It's the 75th minute. All right, it's time for me to be not a hoe. Doesn't mean run to the corner, hold the ball. Doesn't mean put 5 at the back. None of that. But you can make sure that you do not give your opponent a gift. If you make a mistake down the wing. Don't make a mistake in your own half down the middle. You know, if you have to clear it deep from time to time, or you need to get the ball out of there because your opponent's bringing that all-out attack, he's in your face, do it. You're not going to lose respect points. You just, you have to understand in that situation what's the best decision, and hopefully you understand that very quickly. But I found that can help a lot with results, and of course holding on to those 1-0 leads, or the 2-1s, or the 3-2s, the close games. You've got to be able to read what's being thrown at you, because a lot of people, and I mean we're all guilty of this, concede late goals, and you concede late because sometimes you won't adjust. You refuse to make changes, whether it's substitutions, formation swaps, or just, oh, wait a second, my opponent is being a little bit more aggressive. He's got more men in the box, and that's normal, especially when we had custom formations. You can't expect your opposition to win without bringing like some heat, without bringing some additional in-your-face attackers. That's just bad from him to allow you to just sit back, relax, be extra calm. That's why we get late goals a lot of times as well. Now, in terms of some of my weaknesses, one of them, I don't take enough long shots, and it's something I really was trying to work on for the following weekend. So not this 40, but the following video, you're going to see it. But it's something I made an effort. I talk to myself sometimes when I play just to make sure, hey, Mike, you need to be on point with this. You need to be aware of what's going on. You have all these expensive players, but you don't utilize them the same way other people utilize them. I play very similar with an expensive team and a cheap team in terms of my build-up, my 1-2s, and that can be a double-edged sword. Some people are like, hey, Mike, that's good. Your gameplay is on point. That's a gift. Other people will be like, that's stupid. You're not getting the most out of the legends. You're not getting the most out of the Ronaldos and the Bales because you're not pressing your opponent. You're not firing up those shots. You're not getting the corner kicks. You're not allowing them to make great plays for you outside of stuff that's in the box. Something I'm working on. And a lot of the cons come when you're not playing as well. You're not clicking. Maybe your build-up isn't as good as you thought it once was. It happens, man. We know. We know it happens. So that's one of my issues. And another issue I would say is that my offense sometimes gets kind of stagnant. If I'm not playing well, things aren't flowing in motion, my rhythm is off, you're going to see more of that end line sweat than you've ever seen, where you see me running the line, trying to make things happen. It's an automatic goal if you make it happen, if you make it work, it's good. So pass across is always going to score for you. But there's enough balance that you want to have, where you have the long shots, you have the quick passing, down the middle, down the wings, everything, all in one game. Or all in your arsenal, should I say. Because some games you're going to abuse this, you're going to abuse that. But I often leave out the long shots. And I might rely too much on my end line work because it's good. If I played a 4-3-3 as my main formation, I kind of feel like that might be my most consistent formation in FIFA. But I don't know if I'd enjoy it as much. It'll have to be something I experiment with a little bit on the live stream. But I don't know that I'd enjoy it that much. I like the 4-2-3-1 a lot, and that's always been my swap formation for most of this year. But with that formation, I wouldn't want to start in it because it's too defensive. It allows people to stick in matches that don't necessarily deserve to be in those games. It's very good versus another pro, but it's not as good versus maybe a random or someone who's above average player. Because I feel like my chances are cut in half because I'm choosing to have another CDM as opposed to another striker if I was playing a 4-1-2-1-2. But those have been a couple areas that I've noticed that I needed to improve on, is being able to keep my gameplay fresh, at least in the attacking side, and not rely heavily on one thing or on this or on that, and making sure I still have that creativity as we go into game 15, game 25, game 30. Sometimes it varies for me, where I'm playing amazing for 5 or 6, and then I fall off for a couple, and then back to 5 or 6 amazing games, and then fall off for a couple. But if you're aiming to get 35 plus wins, you really can't have those fall offs. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be an issue. It's going to be something that you're going to have to fix, man. It's going to concern you. So remember to let me know in the comments, what are your pros, what are your cons? You don't have to go and give me your biggest in-depth breakdown of what you do good, what you do bad, but if you feel like doing that, I'd love to see it in the comments. I try to go through as many comments as possible, but if you've got a couple things or a few things that are good, a few things that are you need to work on. And some of them are simple, where it could just be getting past a mental, I say simple, but maybe it's not, but getting past that mental state where you're like, I can do this, I can close this game out, I can beat this type of opponent. I know a lot of people dread playing the wide formations. I'm one of those people. When I get matched up against someone who has a 4-3-3 and I've got a 4-1-2-1-2, I know deep down, right in here, my FIFA roots, that if this guy plays that slow, heavy possession down the wing type of gameplay, that I've got something I need to really pay attention to. I need to be on my A game. I cannot take off even one play. Kind of like when you play someone from 5 at the back zones. If you play against someone who's good that uses a 5 at the back, and you're not focused even for one play, if he scores, you have an uphill battle. And 4-3-3s are not nearly that bad, so don't let me make a compare and contrast. But the point I'm making is that they're able to hold possession well, kind of dictate that tempo, and if you give up a goal, you're in a mismatch if you're going to stay in a 4-1-2-1-2. Clearly, the 4-3-3 does well versus this formation. There's space out wide. It makes sense. You don't need an expert to tell you this is going to be a bad matchup. And I was debating doing a video. I've done a lot of formation reviews, but doing an entire video dedicated to this formation counters, this formation. These is a mirror matchup. It's going to come down to who's the best player, what you want to switch into if you're looking to maybe close a game, if you're looking for an attacking formation or a formation that will allow you to put a lot of pressure on this and on that. Because we see, I would say, commonly about 5 formations in FUT Champions and in the competitive scene. Looking at the 4-1-2-1-2, second variation, the 4-2-3-1, the 4-3-3-4, the 4-3-2-1, and the 4-3-1-2. Did I miss anything? Those 5 I see a lot. Now, that doesn't mean I don't ever see other formations. I'll play against a 3-5-2 every once in a while. I'll play against a different variation of the 4-3-3. I hate whichever one is the 2 CDMs. I hate that formation. It is so defensive. And anyone that's using it, they always play the most defensive style that I've seen. It hurts my heart when I go against it. It really does. It's a frustrating match, almost guaranteed. There's no way around it. Mike is going to have to bring the A game of all A games to get through there with a couple goals, because even if they're not the best player, just the amount of bodies they have back. And they're always utilizing those bodies, because otherwise, why would you use that formation? You could get away with the 4-3-3 attack. Let's talk about the regional. Yeah, it's about that time. And if you guys are not familiar, over the weekend, Paris, France, we had the first regional for FUT Champs. I believe the next one is going to be Rest of World, and then the US is on the 18th and the 19th in Miami. I'll be there. Won't be competing because I didn't take November serious. I was just working on YouTube videos, which is unfortunate. And I'm going to wait till the end of this video to talk about my regional qualifier. I don't want to spoil this video in any way. If you don't know my results, you don't know where I finished. Perfect. That's coming very soon. Apologize for the allergies, man. They're all up in my face, son. I don't know if it's allergy season or not, or February, but I got them. I got the allergies. So the regional happened for the 16 best PlayStation players and also the 16 best Xbox players. I'm going to focus mainly on Xbox because I'm more familiar with those players. I've had a little more experience matching up against some of them, or facing them in tournaments, or just watching them compete in tournaments, and I just don't have the same experiences with a lot of the PlayStation guys. So I don't want to talk about anybody that I just feel like I don't know as well in the community. It makes sense, right? And it's not saying I won't discuss the PlayStation guys in the future at all. In fact, I'd love to talk about it. But I just don't want to talk out of turn or discredit anyone that should get more credit, even though I will say I feel like there's more notable players and more pros that are on the Xbox. And this all dates back to the deal with Legends. The only reason that I play the Xbox more than the PlayStation is because of Legends. It's not because, oh, this controller's better, this gameplay's better, except, no, it's not. I mean, I do prefer the Xbox controller, but I've played many tournaments on the PlayStation over the years. A lot of FIFA Interactive World Cups are on the PlayStation, and I can get used to either controller no problem, either gameplay no problem. It's just wherever you're spending your time. But they really needed to come out with something exclusive to each console. I've talked about this before, but if EA wants to maximize profits, exclusive Legends for the Xbox, exclusive Legends for the PlayStation. Guess what? I'd play both, and I'm far from the only one. So you'd have people building up both accounts. It's good for both platforms, both consoles, and your game. It's a win-win-win across the board. Or if they maybe combined the servers, which I don't think that will happen. I think PlayStation and Microsoft, Sony and Microsoft, I don't see that happening. That's just me though. But back to the regional. If you guys have been under a rock in terms of competitive gameplay, hashtag TAS was the victor. He won the overall. He won the Xbox, and he also beat the best PlayStation guy. And the way they did that, they played two legs. So the first leg was played on the Xbox, so TAS versus the top PlayStation opponent on Xbox, and then versus the same guy on PlayStation, and they aggregated that out. And that did bring up a little bit of controversy because TAS played very defensive, but I don't know if you can blame him. When you're playing for money, I kind of feel like the majority of gamemanship is lost in some sense. Not necessarily in saying like, oh, I'm not going to shake this guy's hand, or I'm not going to show this type of etiquette, but if you were going to be a hoe, this is the time to be a hoe, because you never know if your opponent would hold the ball against you, would run into the corner, would cut time. You're talking about a lot of money on the line. I want to say first place was $20K and then an extra $10K if you won the overall. So TAS made $30,000 in one event. Congrats. I'm happy for him as well, because I think I've known TAS since 2012 or 2013, and he just seems like a good guy. And this year he's been grinding since the very beginning. Clearly he put this on as a goal on a chalkboard or something, and he said, I'm going to win this. I'm going to do well. And there's so much amazing competition at this tournament. I'm going to start out with the group of death, and then we'll talk about the top four. So the group of death was, we had Rocky, who's French. We had Gorilla, where most of you guys know who Gorilla is from the UK. We had August Rosemeyer, representing Denmark, and another champion, someone who's won multiple events. You don't want to see him in your group stage. And then the Bullock, who you might not be as familiar with. He's actually the definition of a real scummy player. The 5 at the back, park the bus, every single game looks for counterattacks. That's kind of his thing. I wouldn't rate that. I never will. Like, if you want my opinion on somebody that's fun to watch, good gameplay, very skilled, and that just doesn't fall in there. Playing 5 at the back, starting in a tournament, I don't like it. Never will. I never support it in terms of this is a good look, but that's what he does. And it's hard to knock. Yeah, I mean, I can have my opinion about it, but at the end of the day, if you're playing for money, you're playing for money. Many aspects of FIFA and fun are taken out of the equation when playing for money. As much fun as we have with the open gameplay, the back and forth, the long shots, when you're playing in a tournament, and this is why esports, one of the reasons that it never blew up for FIFA is because they weren't the types of matches that people often thought they would be. People anticipated, oh, back and forth, high scoring, and those happen. Don't get me wrong, it's not that they don't happen, but they're not as common as people would love to believe, and that's just part of it. People tighten up a little bit, a little more conservative, and we see in FUT Champs as well, where people are making sure, hey, I gotta get this W first. But in that group, and this just shows that players, as good as they may be, with some bad luck or just not having your day, no matter how amazing you are online, sometimes it just won't be your day. There's no doubt in my mind that someone like August Rosemeyer or Huge Gorilla, they're incredible, impeccable, especially when you see Gorilla's results every single weekend is a 39 or a 40. Every single weekend. It just seems that way. So this man is certified, and he's been to many events. He's controlled a lot of events. He's won many events. And I felt bad for him, actually. When he played Rocky, it wasn't that he deserved to win that game, but he definitely didn't deserve to lose by the goal that he lost to. If you remember, and I don't know that I could roll a clip. I'm not sure if EA would flag this. I would hope they wouldn't. But just in case, I'm going to talk about it. I don't know if I'll include it in this video. But so Rocky's goal, and this is in group stage, he had a through ball, and the through ball doesn't link onto anyone. It's too far forward, so it's going straight to the goalkeeper. Gorilla's goalkeeper goes to pick it up, and he parries it. He does like a save animation, parries it, and it falls into the path of another attacking player on Rocky's squad, and that's the goal. 1-0, and Gorilla loses the match. And it's tough to say, hey man, you didn't deserve to win that, or to deserve a point, or deserve a draw, or whatever it might have been, when that's the goal that you went down to. So I understand. That's frustrating. I totally get it, especially when money's on the line. But in that group, we had some draws, we had some switches of results. I mean, even in August, you know how unlucky he was versus Bullock in the game where Bullock scored that cross. And this is why the game's all about finishing and kind of showing up for that day. August lost 1-0. I mean, he controlled the game, but either way, he didn't get the goal. So we had the Bullock going through to go with Rocky. And Rocky looked very good in this tournament. Probably the most efficient player in terms of finishing. I think they had a stat they were talking about where he finished 50% of his shots. I mean, if you do that, online, offline, anywhere, yeah, good things are going to happen. 4 shots, 2 goals, cool. Yeah, it's usually going to be a good sign if you can do that game in and game out, especially at the pro level, at the competitive level. And I think he did a really good job with the controlling of matches, the possession play, and then the pass across game was probably the best we've seen out of any of the players in the tournament. So, you know, more power to him. I know it's sweaty, but you're playing for money. You're playing at the highest level. You take a goal, however, it'll fall to you. I'm sure that we'll see Gorilla bounce back at the second regional. Same with Rosemeyer if he can get a qualifying spot. I don't know that he got one online, but I believe in him being able to somehow wiggle his way into a regional, and I would be shocked to see Gorilla have 2 tournaments in a row where he got beat in the group stage, especially since he won't have another group of death most likely. I don't see it, which would allow him to have a little more leeway to warm up. It's all about getting the best you in those big moments, and you don't really get a warm-up game or even a warm-up half or some easy gameplay to flow with when you're going up against the Rosemeyers, the Bullock where you're playing against the 5 at the back, or the Rocky. These guys don't allow that, and you've got to have your A game right from the jump or you're in trouble. And I just want to mention one more time that there's really, in the competitive world, no such thing as the same suspect or hoe activity that we see online or that we talk about on YouTube. It's not good. It's just in the game. You don't like it, well, EA gotta change something, you know. But at the end of the day, people will try their best to control the game, their best to win a tournament. I understand it. You know, I come from that community. But one of the things that I love about YouTube is that you don't have to do that. You can kind of showcase the ins and outs, the intricacies, the skill moves, just a little bit of all of the above. It's not a game to first to score 1 or 2 goals and then trying to hold on to that lead the best that you can. But congratulations to my man Tass. I might try to get him on here for a follow-up interview. We did an interview at the very beginning of the year, and I'd love to have him on my channel again just to talk about the regional, what was going through his mind. Tass seemed like he had awesome composure. I actually tweeted out the Tass wave. You guys will see this because in the final, when he won the final he didn't get a handshake, and that happens. People get mad. If somebody interviewed me and said, hey, are you mad, or what do you think about someone not shaking his hand? I'll be like, look, FIFA makes you do crazy things, man. The rage is real. There's actions we've all taken that we never thought we would take in FIFA, whether it's breaking a TV, breaking a light, throwing something, telling your girlfriend, hey, this is not going to be today. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me today. We're definitely guilty is what I'm trying to say. As the FIFA community, if you haven't had a rage moment, then you just don't care enough yet. And now I want to talk about my regional. So in the month of January, it was a qualifier. It only took 3 weekends instead of 4. 4 weekends probably would have helped me, but it was a qualifier for the next FUT Champs regional, which I think for us is taking place in Canada. And the way that it works is you got 16 spots, but there's only 12 that are guaranteed from the online. So there's a minimum 12 that you can get from online, but it could be all 16, but you got to get 16. In the European event that we saw in Paris, I think they only had 1 spot that went to a live regional. If you guys recall the winner of DreamHack, which was Rosemeyer, and who was the other winner? Oh, Manika, the Frenchman, who I've actually met. I met him in France a couple years ago. Very brief. He won the PlayStation side, and August won the Xbox side. So that was 1 spot. So therefore, they would take the top 12 online, and then they would take 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. Actually, I take that back. I believe that ESWC, the winner, that also was a position. So there was 2 that were online EA sanctioned events. Dax, remember, won ESWC. So even though he had an online spot, he then forfeited the online spot and it moved down. So the number 13th and the 14th should have also went to that event. Actually, the 15th as well, because Dax, you see where my math's at on this. So the reason I'm bringing all that up is because I finished I finished in 15th position. I'm really mad at myself. 35 out of 40 games. It's not bad. It's a good result, but it was my worst of the week, or out of the month. I finished with 37 the first week, 36 the second week. With third week, we had problems with the disconnection glitch. And the fourth week, I finished with 35. And 1 more win, and I would have been 11th. Guaranteed in that top 12. But something else that's worth mentioning is the top 3 players from the Americas in Miami will not be competing in the second regional. So they would forfeit their spot if they qualified online and for both regionals. You see how I'm doing if they qualify for the in-person in Berlin. It might sound complicated, but if you rewatch it, you Google a little bit, everything makes a lot more sense. So I think I'll be good for the following regional, finishing 15th. But I guess there's no guarantee. I mean, things have to fall a certain way. But I think I'll be there in Canada. You guys, I appreciate all the support. I'll also do my best to keep putting up good 40s and bringing these videos to you like all the time. Thanks again for watching. Remember, if you enjoyed it, to drop a thumbs up and get in the comments. I want to see what you think about your game. What's good, what's bad, maybe even where you finish in FUT Champs. Makes it easier for me to kind of gauge like what level this guy might be attacking or defending or composure-wise. But I have a lot more content come for you ASAP. Until next time, peace, my friends.